Holding down second at the moment. Wadigo's going well inside the 150. Wadigo's kept going from King of Naples. So am I running home into third, but Wadigo's will do it again. Back-to-back wins. Wadigo's won it.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host, Scoot. I'm the Lone Ranger in the Gold Coast today. It's extraordinary scenes, and it's been an extraordinary week in racing and wagering, betting, the media landscape. There's a lot going on, and it's hit home here as well. We've had Walt leave the studio in disgust. We were sort of warming up pre-show, and DK's just started pushing his buttons, and he's hit the eject button, Walt, and he's exploded. So, tell you what, wow, don't know what to say, DK.
No, a bit shell-shocked here, Scooty. I'm flying solo myself. Nico's he swerved the drama there, but he might have pulled the right rein there staying at home, but... a bit of a pre-show chat as we normally do, and try and get ourselves going. And I might have gone a little bit too hard, but anyway, Walt. Anyway, that's I'll have to get onto him after the show or something and make amends. But show must go on, Scoot, as they say. Exactly,
Nico. The big swerve. You're under hard riding. You're under the pump this week. What's going on? You haven't even got kids. Wait till they kick you.
Oh yeah, just a lot happening. Didn't know they put 9 races on in Tasmania and then a bit of work for RSN. So I thought the drive into Melbourne might be a bit too much for today. But we're deep into the form. We've had a good look at Geelong for the punters for the show because I thought Moonee Valley might be a bit tricky. And unfortunately, I can't get out there for Saturday due to some commitments for the Mountie Mail. So I thought Geelong might be the program we can sink our teeth into and maybe find a few winners of the Maidens.
After the monorail and I can call it crap, after the setup and the track that they served up last time, I don't sort of mind a bit of a half soft strike on Moonee Valley. Be interesting to see how they serve the track up this Saturday. And who'd know what you could expect? Could be absolute fence on fire again. They might water it, or the track could be curated so it can, overcorrect from the bias. You just wouldn't know. So not much confidence to bet in the Valley. And I guess it brings us into the great topic, or the first bit of controversy this week. And that's probably the reason we've had the walk-off here is Racing Victoria's CEO Andrew Jones. It was a pretty interesting interview on racing.com talking about the topic that we raised on last week's show, the mic'd up jockeys, and then the introduction of the no whip Big Bash style racing format. It was interesting, some of his comments with Paul Tatnell, and then he was on the quick backup with Gareth Hall on one of the SEN programs there, and just looking at some of the tweets across social media and just comments in general, sounds like a bit of nightmare fuel for participants as well. And I thought it was some pretty arrogant sort of stuff from the Racing Victoria CEO. And Mitch Beer, sort of tongue-in-cheek, said, has anyone tried turning RV off and back on again with his arms crossed there? Got another one here with Amy Yagi, and I think Amy's been doing some work with racing.com. So this is, I don't know, I guess it's a pretty ballsy thing to do. So this is live footage of what I've done to myself to stop getting on Twitter and typing what I really think about our CEO has to say this afternoon. Where are we? And it's got a woman, I assume, in a straitjacket lying on the floor on some grass. And then Damien Lane said it's quite incredible as well. So this is just a couple of sort of highlights and interesting points just to, I guess, help steer our conversation. Dean Hawkes, I've heard it all now. RV CEO made a reference that because F1 drivers use microphones and earpieces and go faster than horses, it should be okay for a jockey. Hang on, the driver controls the car. The horse is an animal and do not behave the same as a car. So I'd say that it's pretty standard there. And this is an interesting one for me. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the work cover premiums going, and John's out of Linux, who's a punter. I think he's Canberra-based, but maybe now in Queensland. He said, here's the bottom line. There's no way that RV's insurer is going to allow microphones without premium increases. They surely understand how dangerous it would be. That might also apply to whip-free racing, because the racing would get more dangerous, making it less safe, and it's not an ideal way to attract any new people by making racing less safe. So I think John's hit the nail on the head, and I think the work cover premium just shows, if it's already at breaking point now, the work cover premiums, it just, to me, sort of spells out how poorly thought out this idea is, and that it can only be a gimmick that sort of lasts a couple of weeks, and it opens Pandora's box. If the jockeys agree to putting the whip away, I can just see a Maureen Fakuri or some of the Greens come out and say, oh, well, they've proved it. They've done 4 meetings without the whip. You guys are barbaric, and it'll just add more fuel to the fire for the whip to be put away completely. So I guess that's my stance. I think it's pretty cut and dry. It's a gimmick. I'm pretty disappointed that this bloke, this Andrew Jones, is fixated on fixing sort of the 18 to 35s to get new people in the game with, I guess, a pretty gimmicky idea when, it's models like Betfair and TopSport that have that are driving lots of turnover, basically getting ushered out the door by these crazy tax thresholds and tax fees at the moment. Like, I don't know how you can alienate those two product drivers and growth drivers of turnover, but then try and chase this unicorn of 18 to 35-year-olds that might have a fleeting interest in racing. I think it's a disgrace. DK?
As again, I said last week, I don't mind innovation. I don't mind the thought of creativity. 1 minute this bloke's the white knight that racing, needs to take as a head down here, and then he comes out and says a few things that have upset a few people and might have been taken out of context here or there. And now everyone thinks he's an a-hole and he's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go. So I don't mind the mic, the theory of the mic, the sounds of the race. More so, it's never going to happen that it would talk any communication during a race. But if you've ever seen the movies, even the Ride Like a Girl movies and stuff like that, where they get as much noise and stuff from the jocks in the races. There's something there to explore. I mean, it's in the embryonic stage. They got caught on the hop by the RaceNet article, last week. And then he's had to come out and explain it, and he's probably done it poorly. He's had a number of points in his head to compare it to Formula One, which it's not pretty comparable, but he's comparing a dangerous, fast sport, but it's probably not the right one. And he's also probably said, what do you say to the people who are, he said participants, but I think he's saying to people who don't like what you do, and he says, I just get on with the job. But, mate, you can't don't upset the participants, don't upset the trainers are very sensitive at the moment anyway, because they all think they're overworked and work cover premiums are all going up and everything, so they're under the pump anyway, and they just needed another thing to piss them off. All the things you showed there pretty much were from trainers, Amy Yagi and Mitch Beard trainers. You can't upset the trainers, So, as I said, I don't mind the creativity. I think he's the communications. I think Dan O'Sullivan wrote a thing, wasn't it? I think it's the issue's communicating all this to the people and the strategy behind that. Him coming out and just doing the rounds in the media hustings yesterday and making a bit of a meal on it hasn't helped anything. He thought it might have helped. It hasn't helped anything at all. It's made things worse. So I don't mind the creativity. I don't mind them exploring it. They'll get stuck. People like Chris Simons and things like that to trial it, and like he did with the camera on the helmet and see if it works. Like, there's nothing better, that sound of the hooves. Those mics they have with the sound of the hooves running past Cup Carnival Week and all that. A bit more sounds in between the race, but no way there'd be any communication. I mean, again, everyone just saw what happens if the trainer's talking to the jockey mid-race and the jockey falls. Straight to worst case scenario, they might just get a bit of a clip from the jocks, as the mic's on during the race. So anyway, I don't mind innovation for a sport that hasn't innovated for forever. But he made a meal of it on the media round. That's all I think. Anyway,
I think I tend to disagree at carnival time, when especially the shot when they pan to the shot of the horse's feet at the 6 or the 400 metre mark. That is complete torture. I'm happy to have the sound integrated into the vision.
Sound,
but then all of a sudden, I'm watching the race. Then there's a camera shot where I look at horses' feet with hooves. Like, I can have the sound, but where the heck is my horse gone? Has it made up position in running? Like, it's that split second that I get this this overlay. It's terrible.
But it is on the free-to-air broadcast, which is not aimed at the hardcore. Racing.com wouldn't put that in. So you want to watch and get your replays and watch everything like that, it should be on Racing.com. So, but again, he's all what did he say? He said it's 4 races out of 550 they're going to do it on. 4 races. So 1% less than 1% of the races they're going to look at mixing it up. But anyway.
I think the sort of the way it's probably been come out in the media and just, with that article getting sort of leaked, I suppose, and just how it's sort of come out from there, it's probably not how Racing Victoria would have wanted it. And then obviously yesterday probably wasn't the best look. But look, I still think there is some merit in what they're doing with the innovation. It's just sort of what they do. And I think that probably just hasn't been explained well enough. Like, a lot of the things, people are jumping to the worst case scenario because we don't know what the scenario is. So I think we just got to wait until those things sort of pan out a bit before everyone makes a full-on sort of opinion on it. But yeah, I'm a bit on the fence at the moment. I can see both sides to the angle that people are sort of taking on Twitter. But I think that's, on a day where we had the Caulfield Cup, the Cox Plate, Melbourne Cup nominations, and then this sort of took over and has 300,000 views on social media. I think that it's kind of like the launch of the Spring Carnival that day with the nominations. Like that should have been the big story, and all of a sudden this just took over. That's, probably going to be irrelevant for something like the Spring and probably not going to happen for a good while. So, yeah, from that point of view, I'd much rather we just focus on marketing the Spring Carnival and the horses that are coming, because we've got some really good internationals coming, like Romantic Warrior, the Caulfield Cup favourite now. When he got announced, he was 26 into $11, and no one's heard a word about it because it's all been about this. So I think we're just probably focused on the wrong story for the week, and this could be brought up, when a week when there's nothing really going on. But it's just sort of the way the balls bounce there.
Oh, exactly. It's a one-way hatchet job and a smear. I
Hatchet,
guess.
absolutely.
And
Sabotage.
It'd be a great one to hear something over from the Racing New South Wales side of things. You had odds and evens that have failed to prop up these races, so there's no accountability there. They've got the highest POC rate in Australia. It's the most expensive place, and the fees are just going through the roof. But there's nothing clear about what happens in New South Wales. So everyone, I guess, in defence of Peter V'landys, look, they're no better. And I take your point, DK. Trainers are a sensitive bunch, but at the moment, I know that punters are getting absolutely fisted and reamed, and I don't think anyone in the industry is getting like a real good run at anything. So I think it is time to be critical of a lot of people. But again, like it comes back to the pricing model and structure. The silliest thing that I think in the industry at the moment is causing the most distress is this stupid threshold. You've got $1 million threshold where all these bookies can start up, and then as soon as they cross this $1 million profitability threshold, they're taxed at the same rate as Sportsbet. So no one's going to be able to grow. The POC tax are going to be increasing in Victoria soon. So all those businesses are confetti. So you grow a business, get it to a good rate, and then all of a sudden you're stuck. And then that's where the problems get when you've got bookmakers who are getting people to submit all their bank records and things like that. And I heard an absolute corker yesterday. A punter was told that they have to send in proof and recordings of all their bets to prove that they weren't using a robot to put bets on. Like, what's it come to? And it's all problems that have been created and built by RV. And here's another one that they're just creating all these problems for themselves. As Nico points out, they should be just letting the Spring Carnival do the talking, and they still hold top rank and top dog, but they're just getting absolutely bamboozled by Racing New South Wales and making a meal of it, as Dan O'Sullivan, as you guys agree, through their comms, trying to play ducks and drakes and hide sort of a new concept so Peter V'landys doesn't get up their skirt and releases the innovation before them. Like, it's petty, and I think something's going to break and something's going to change. But getting and alienating all your participants and the guys that have got their skin in the game, and racing's their life, DK.
That's right.
I've seen lots of these blokes like Andrew Jones come into organisations that are fly by night. They can't hold any job on their resume for more than 5 years. They don't care. They're just change disruptors, and they can absolutely do more damage than. And it can really happen really quickly. And so if there's all these other people, that's all they've got. So I can see why the trainers and guys like Walt, like racing's his life. So what else has he got?
Yeah,
this guy can flit on to the next thing. If he crashes and burns, he can flit on to the next sport or do whatever. All these racing people, they're up at 4 a.m. every day, DK.
That's what I'm blowing. That Ben Amafio's come in, hasn't he? Didn't he get the lemonade or something from North Melbourne? Now he's come in and he's one underneath Andrew Jones, stuff like that, and people are saying, what's this bloke, So what's he know about racing? And that's I think that's their point. But I understand that, he's got a business to run. All the trainers and jockeys run their own businesses. He's got a business to run. He's trying to run it without fear of favour, and he's accountable to the board as well. Like, so, if they're going to, the board would be well aware. A lot of people who connections to injury participants on the board, so they would have heard about it all last night, and it'll be interesting to see what pans out. But anyway, the Spring Carnival, mate. This is crunch time. Spring Carnival. I think he did say wagering's down 15%, didn't he? So it better spark up in the Spring Carnival. Otherwise, as we keep talking, there's going to be a tipping point here somewhere.
There could be big shake up. So yeah, they'll have to pull their socks up. All right, today's show is going to be a bit of a challenge. I guess probably more so for me. We're going to have to step in and cover Walt, and hopefully that, DK and Walt will break some bread. You might fly up to Walt's dungeon and be his little beer wench. Oh, he's not a beer wench. He would have to be his lemonade wench for a week or two, DK.
Hulk juice. I'll give him a ring after the show. I'll sort it out.
As Don is good. He's got Eagle Farm. He was all over Zarastros, but needs to lift a bit, the Donny. Walt was good with Water Goes, really easy watch. Just, I think it sat outside leader again and just absolutely brained them, one in an absolute canter. Rose Hill again. I think he's going to chase some Chris Waller Love. Nico, it's our time. The world wanted to be on. You tipped it up early. And all the stars and the big punters aligned on that one, and it just came sailing to the outside. So pretty good show for the followers of Bet Doctor last week. You can have a look at Geelong Friday, as you said, and Death Valley. Azza is flying down to Geelong to watch his horse. So obviously, Azza loves the Victorian racing and does form all over the place. But he's going to fly down and watch his horse run. So he's an admission from today's show. Again, I'm going to step into the hot seat as a Rastro. Feel like I've got a bit of momentum. And I'm definitely going to peak for spring. Found not a bad little winner for the syndicate on what was that horse on Sunday, Nico?
Oh, I'm a Shelby.
We had 2 bets in the race.
Yeah, I'm a Shelby. That was a good result. I think it was
I'm a Shelby.
half time at the footy. Just tuned in there. $21 winner. Yeah, good.
Beautiful. So that was handy. And then Rogue Rocker. So we had that race sorted out there. So make sure you jump in a little bit of syndicate. $50 a week. It's less than a bonus bet. So if you want Nico and mine and Donnie's A sets outside of this show, you can tune in a little bit of syndicate. $50 a week. So good value, that one, with those sort of price winners flying around. Still well in front. And I think we would be eclipsing DK's unit profit when he was absolutely humming. So it's definitely worth checking out. Top Sport Steamers, Oita was heavily backed, $7 into bugger all and got the chocolate. So the Top Sport Steamers are firing. And as we said, make sure you support Top Sport, Australian-owned operator for over 40 years. And they're hard to beat, their customer service, and their app is as good as anything. Nico, let's spear into Geelong on Friday. And the horse that you like is from a Traralgon trial here, and it's Celestial Harmony in the Hayes colours. Tell us why you like this.
Yeah, race 1, number 1 for the punters. So this will be pretty easy to work out for him. And I thought this was a good trial by Celestial Harmony. I think this is what he'll see on Friday. He's in the Hayes colours here, pretty much jump straight to the front from an inside draw. He's going to have to do the same here, probably kick up and hold a spot from an inside draw, but he's first up over 1,200 metres. And I did like that he has had some trials over sort of 1,100 and 1,000 metres leading into this. Just a horse, I think there's a $200,000 yearling by a mare out of a mare that's had a bit of ability, and the way Team Hayes is absolutely flying this new season, and Mick D seems to be their real go-to jockey. Mick D has jumped this horse out. I think his first jump out, he won. Mick D rode him, so he's got a good association with the horse. I thought here in the trial, he didn't really get around the Traralgon corner. It's a very tight turning track, this. Geelong's not as tight, so I think that'll be a positive going to the races today. But once he balanced up, I thought he got to the line pretty well. Jamie Mott sort of gave him a few cracks with the whip, and just looking at this trial, I thought this is more, you could probably watch this and think it was nearly a race. All the horses are sort of under the whip here, and he sort of comes away from him late. So I thought this was a really good education for him to sort of take this to a debut run from an inside draw, a very similar setup where he's probably going to have to kick off the bend, which he did there under riding. So I thought just with the way that sort of trial set up, I don't know about you, DK, but I thought it kind of looked like a bit of a race to me. So, I thought this horse could go to Geelong and run really well in race 1, number 1.
Just looked a bit green, but that's a tighter track coming to a bigger track. So you might bring into a bigger track. So he sort of he laid out of there around the turn, didn't he, Nico? But that's Traralgon's pretty tight. So I haven't looked at that race yet. So I'll have a look later on today.
I don't know if it's a DK race.
No, all the first starters, isn't it?
12 of the runners in the race are first stars, and the 4
I'll do that race last.
Yeah. But
what price would you take, Nico?
Well, I thought just looking at the race, Geelong's a really good track to sort of get up on top of the speed, especially with it's been playing recently, dry ground. I thought he's going to have every possible chance for barrier number 1. The favourite, King of Fighters, has jumped out okay. Jumped out against Frankfurt, and then the horse that won yesterday, Snow Patrol. He looked good, but he's got to overcome a wide draw here. Southport Tycoon, the Mar Eustace run, again, jumped out okay, but doesn't look like anything sort of outstanding there. He doesn't look like a superstar. I thought War Machine's probably the danger at around $9, but I think they're around sort of, 7, 8 for War Machine and about $6 for Celestial Harmony. I think you could probably back Celestial Harmony each way. I reckon he's going to be right in the finish, but I probably would mark him a narrow favourite and think he's well over the odds at $6, Celestial Harmony.
All right, let's have a look at the next one. It comes up at Geelong in race 5, and this is a horse that has already had a start this preparation, and the horse is second act in the Jerry Ryan colours, karting wide here.
Yeah, I thought this horse probably should have won on this day. This is a half-brother Stern Idol. He had 2 starts overseas in jumps races. I don't even know if he finished in them. I don't know what P in the form of it is, but this is his first run here in Australia. It was over 2,400 metres. Another horse, he didn't really kind of handle the turn there at Geelong. He sort of came down the dip and was all at sea and then wanted to lay in the straight. Once Jamie Mott got the whip in the left hand, thought he knuckled down and really hit the line strongly. I know he was against Crosshill, but you can sort of tie that form in through a few of the others, like City Limits was beaten by Karakoram at Bairnsdale. I'm pretty sure that form can sort of be tied in through the other 2,400 metre maidens we've had at Geelong, which that horse has run in. So thought you could definitely tie the form in. That was his first run here in Australia, over 2,400 metres. So you think there'd be improvement to come second up. I like Jamie Mott keeping the ride. I think that's going to be crucial for his chances, given the sort of quirks he had coming down the hill and then sort of wanting to lay in the straight. I think he'd probably just start with a whip in the left. And I think with a more positive ride, he was sort of a bit keen in the early stages off what was an even tempo. I think if you can let him roll a bit and sort of get into his rhythm and get him a bit in the zone coming down the hill and then hopefully keep the whip in the left and keep him nice and straight coming to the home bend, I think he's definitely going to be a horse who's going to be attacking the line. You watched his work. You see through the line in that Geelong replay. He was really sort of humming through the line. So I think he just needs to get balanced up at the top of the straight and could be too good. They haven't missed him. I wouldn't be surprised if he drifted, given there probably is a few horses here that have run well their last starts in City Limits and Willie Wink. But I thought he probably should be getting the job done.
DK, does that race tickle your fancy?
Yeah, only because I didn't. Yeah, it did. I didn't mind the other. I didn't mind some alternatives to it. Actually, I thought I could see Nico's point there, but he's a 3,200 metre jumper, that horse, and he went up. What do you go up 6-4 or something? So I thought City Limits crying out. I mean, I thought it was really good on an unsuitable tight track at Bairnsdale. Showed real natural stamina, being strong late there in a testing race behind Karakoram. My comment was once 2,400 on a big track, and that's what it gets there. And that Willie Wink was off the map there at Warwick Nabil, and the leader just got away with the race, got a race on him. But so he can run well as well. But just the betting move there for it. I think it was first run for Aaron Purcell. So again, looks like it's suited up in trip, but. That's just me. In general, though, I like things stepping up in trip rather than things staying at the trip. That's just something that I warm to. So I sort of, if I see a favourite staying at the trip, I sort of go looking for alternatives.
When I first, I was probably in the same line of thought. I thought, this would be good if the horse is jumping from 1,800 to 2,400 or something like that. But interesting. Failed to finish a couple of hurdle races over in I don't even know where that is. It could be France, could be anywhere. But they were 3,600 and 3,500 metre races. This could be their Jericho horse, Nico.
Yeah, well, they've obviously. Well, he probably can't because he's overseas. No, you can't have to be Australian.
He's got to be Australian made, doesn't he?
He's a half brother Stern Idol, so they've obviously sourced him from over there and sort of thought, well, he's a superstar. Maybe this horse is as well. I think just with what DK's touched on, that's why I think you could get a better price on the day, given he drifted first up. He's probably gone up so short because he is Maya Eustace, and the other two are sort of from not as fashionable stables as the leading stable in the country. So City Limits is out a very fast run race, so I could see the support for him, and there already has been. And I thought Willie Wink was probably the danger, but he has had 22 starts for not one win in here and New Zealand, so he's had a few cracks at it. But I thought you'd probably get maybe 280 second act, and I'd be happy to try him in the 240. I think he'd just win if he runs straight in the home straight. He just could have a bit more upside than a few of his rivals, but I think you could get maybe 280 or a little bit longer come the death, so maybe half now, half later sort of scenario.
Well, a bit of a watch on that one. Okay, let's kick across to Saturday at Moonee Valley, and it's race 4, the Maureen Slater Handicap over 1,600 metres. Wonder what Maureen thinks about all the comments through the press this week about the racing industry. She must love the whip if she's got a a race named after, I would have thought. The odds, courtesy of Top Sport here, is OK Cupid at $4.20, Aspen, Colorado, $4.60, Master of Chant, $5, Scantoon, $7.50, Oceana Blue, $7.50, Seb Song, $14, Crackerjack Prince, $15, and that rounds out the chances. The horse that you like here, Nico, is in the black with the pink cap, but it's OK Cupid, J. Childs, Waterhouse Bot.
Yeah, real strong sort of leader from the Waterhouse Bot stable. He's just to improve this campaign. First up run, well, made him win at Geelong. Second up, he beat a stack of subsequent winners there in slow time. And again, this was a slow run race, but just the way he doesn't really find anything here, doesn't have this killer turn of foot. He just sort of grinds away. He beats Hughes, who runs today at Bendigo, short price favourite. The Eagles come out one since. I think this form will probably stack up. And he just sort of put him away there, I think, due to class. You know, the way the race tempo sort of worked out. If something had a better turn of footy behind him, like either Eagle or Hughes, they probably could have beaten him, and that he sort of held him off there. I think getting to 1,600 metres is going to be a big positive for him. And in a faster run race, I could see him really elevating his figures. So I thought on a day where, there's a few horses like Resilient, Paray that are sort of bringing in the last season form. But I thought this horse is pretty progressive, and he's a 3-year-old. He's a 3-year-old a week ago. Now he's taking on the older horses, but I feel like his form lines could be a little bit underrated. And I think he's winning a few of his races just off class, and the slowly run tempos I don't think necessarily have suited him, given he doesn't have this damaging turn of foot at the end of his races. So up in trip, it'll be interesting to see how the Valley plays, if it's sort of, plays like it did 2 weeks ago, or it's a bit more corrected than that. And, him getting back off the fence and potentially swooping. For this horse, you'd probably hope it was playing like last week, because he's probably a leader, but just sort of wait and see there. And Geordie Childs, even if the fence isn't necessarily the greatest place to be, he's a smart enough jockey to probably roll off at the top of the straight and still get him into the best ground. So I just thought he's a horse on the up, and I think he'd be much better suited in probably a faster run race, which I think he'll get there on Saturday. So a bit of a tricky card. There was a few other horses that sort of looked appealing, like Omni Man, but again, he's a leader, so just how you sort of factor that in, how the day is going to play. And there's sort of a few others later on in the card, but I thought this horse, sort of looking at him last start in the yard, I thought he had to probably improve getting up in distance and in a faster run race. So he finds that on Saturday, and hopefully he's the winner again.
I couldn't really encourage anyone to just steam right into the Valley until you see how the track's playing.
Yeah, exactly. You got to watch the first few races.
You might get a good handle of it by what? Race 3?
Yeah, probably race 3 is probably the time where you can sort of go, okay, this track's either one way or the other, or it's a fair track. Hopefully it is a fair track, and it's, they make amends for what happened the other day, and, everything's all okay there. But, it's probably hard to steam into the first race with any real confidence.
DK will be out there with a little fella now that Auskick and that's finished out. Nice little family day out.
No, footy still on. My senior footy still on. Stinks, so got the local derby this week, so get up there, mate. Get up there, closer to home.
Beauty. Bet the maidens, then go down there after quarter time and
have
a couple of rin-tin-tinnies.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Races are on, the footy's on, indoor. It's just perfect Saturday afternoon.
Melbourne's flying. Nico, so you're mounting yard on Saturday at the Valley. What's your program going to be for the next week?
We might send out some stuff today from Bendigo for the subs, but unfortunately couldn't get there on Saturday. I got a mate coming down who I haven't seen for a while, and it's also the missus' birthday. So
there we go.
Few things tied up there. So probably not too bad a meeting to miss, and then we'll be full steam ahead probably to the end of December, really. It's probably the last week before we see the real good horses come back. So really excited for the next couple of months and what we can do with the service.
Beautiful. It was on fire yesterday, so make sure you get around that. $25 a week and you get all the bonus meetings. So he doesn't mind sneaking out to a Pakenham or Cranbourne or Bendigo meeting, or does lots of different things, Nico. So make sure you get his service 3 to 5 minutes before each race. Bet with a lot of confidence. I found the winner of the first race thanks to you, Nico. You didn't back it, but you gave me enough of a push on Snow Patrol, which looks like not a bad horse. So thank you for that one. It was a $10 winner. So you can read between the lines, even though if Nick isn't betting, you can chime in there. Well, as I said, no Azza, no Bagman, but Scooty has punting form, will travel. I was Eagle Farm last week, but I'm going to moonlight into Adelaide here, John Kelton territory, Eagle Land, and have a look at the Behemoth Stakes, and it's over 1,200 metres. See You in Heaven's a favourite here, $2.60. Saboteur Excel is $5.50. Belay Rich is $6. Notable dual nomination there at Moonee Valley. Ironclad, $9. Calypso Rain, $10. Picargo, $10. Boognish, named after you, DK, $12. Caracasoo, no jockey there, $13. And then you got Manhattan Times and Howl outside the market. Interesting little trial here. We've got See You in Heaven in the blue with the blue and white blinkers. She's sort of in the lighter colour sleeves and 3 wide out the back. You got Calypso Rain, bounces away pretty nicely, the grey with the black. And then Rich Gina's sort of leading him up here. And then Ironclad's in his usual racing colours there with our favourite syndicators, or definitely Waltz. And you can just sort of see here, she sort of needs to be sort of ridden along a bit to sort of like switch on and click on, but she wins the trial See You in Heaven, and I thought that she was clearly the horse to beat in this race, especially that they're kicking her off over 1,200 metres, so he's got a pretty good hold of her here, and I just like the way sort of she goes to the line. Interesting, I thought, I'm not sure if it was Kayla in this jump out or trial or whatever it is, but the grey horse, I think I've tipped it on the show once before, but Calypso Rain looks like he's absolutely bolting there on the outside of See You in Heaven there. Ironclad sort of just getting ridden out and pushed along a bit, where she's just sort of jogging along nicely outside him. The big danger here is if Mitch Freedman decides to put Bellade Rich into the race, she can sit a little bit more closely to See You in Heaven. And also there's a lot of rain forecast as well. So I think there's up to 6 mil, and especially on Saturday morning. So massive weather watch. I already saw 5 in Adelaide on Saturday, and then it could get to as low as a soft 7. So if that's the case, I think there might be a little bit of a drift or ease in the market on See You in Heaven. I think she can still win, but I think the money will come hard for Belay Rich and Calypso Rain if it starts a soft 7. Not sure if you boys are around any of that form or notice anything in that trial, but I think that was sort of the race. It looks a pretty ripe Group 3 for the picking for the mares there.
We'll See You in Heaven. She's the progressive horse of that lot. A lot of them sort of been around the mark there in Adelaide for a while, like Calypso Rain and Ironclad. So even Saboteur Excel, he's not getting any younger. So she's a fresh horse on the scene, and like I said, she just warmed up late in that trial. I watched Belay Rich's jump out at Bendigo, actually. I thought it was okay work. I thought it probably, if she was going to win over 1,200, I think you probably wanted her to jump out a little bit sharper. She's got good ability, as we saw over the summer, but I thought she probably could have jumped out a little bit better to be winning a stakes race first up. So I'd probably lean See You in Heaven's way as well.
There's probably a race over 1,400 metres in 2 or 3 weeks' time, probably a Group 2 that she'd be targeting See You in Heaven. So they might just think she can pick this off along the way. But it is a little bit of a guessing game too. We saw a horse like Nunthorpe get rolled over or overturned yesterday in a looked a pretty good, a suitable benchmark 70 yesterday. So you just got to be careful. Some of these horses do get rissold at the short quote when they're using this race as a stepping stone. DK?
Oh, just talking about getting rissold at the short odds. That camp's making an art form of it lately, P. Moody. Like, they're just going over and over and over. I know Sensical ran into a nice horse, but then there's the thing last week that sailed Nico, that the Cliff Brown thing beat. There's that River Noir and was legless on Saturday as the favourite in the first race. He's just making an art form of getting things beat P. Moody at short odds. I'll give you the tip. Be very wary.
I was absolutely sick. We launched Hennessy Lad for the syndicate, and I thought Carleen gave it an absolute peach, but what was it? That Braden Star, your camp Busset and Young knocked me off.
Yeah, beauty.
So I was in the cupboard for the rest of the afternoon after that. I was absolutely bleeding. So yes, just got to be careful when these winter and early spring horses have got a fitness edge over a couple of these stars. So definitely keep that in mind, and you don't have to launch. Puntingform.com.au helps me do the form, so I can bet anywhere, all over the shop. Sometimes it's a massive asset, and other times I can just land headfirst in the mud like I did on Darwin Cup Day. So make sure you check out puntingform.com.au. It will allow you to do form faster and bet with more clarity and definitely more confidence. Looks like it's clear blue skies in Sydney, so they're absolutely laughing up at Rose Hill. We'll talk about the Pericles race in a moment, but the horse that Walt likes is in race 1. It's the Inglis Pink Bonus Handicap over 1,300 metres. Cabalus is the favourite here. It's $2.40. The Little Pumper $3.20. Gambare $6.50. Waverley $13. Kintyre $13. Misty Legend $13. Miss Gent $15. How Dare You $19. And Rockabilly Rebel $41. It's another one of our syndicate bets, so we're absolutely on fire there. The replay we're going to have a look at is Cabellus, and I think the reason that Walt likes this one is Estrella is the second horse here. And you can just see the Waller horse sort of getting to work in the purple and the white and just starts to mow down these leaders. Shaken's the horse in the Godolphin colours. It has a bleed, so you can probably forgive it next time. And it has to be probably ready first up, as we sort of alluded to next time. But this Estrella, they've got a big opinion of that, and they just sort of duke it out and go toe-to-toe there. I do notice that this horse jumps 1,100 to 1,300 metres, which looks really, really suitable. And then you've got horses like the Little Pumper that's going to be back in distance. You've got Gambare that's first up, so may not be ready. Waverley could be a bit of a danger here, has form around some handy horses, and first up for Sarge. And then a horse like Miss Gent could be a bit of a knockout hope there at sort of $15 for Danny Beasley. But would have thought that the Calibus form here at the $2.40, stepping up to $1,300, looks absolutely cherry ripe if J-Mac can keep it out of trouble from barrier 3.
No, just on your theory, I don't know anything about Sydney racing, but just what you're saying about there, stepping up in trip to 13 off the 11. It's the 1100s. It's so different to even though it's only 100 metres, it is so different to 1,000 metres. Stepping up off 1,000, the races are just so different. I love backing things stepping up off 1100 to 12, 13, or even 14, but 1,000 metres, I nearly pen them. Stepping up in that because they, it's just so run so differently. They just don't give the horses the base to step up in trip, whereas 1,100 metre races do. So that's a little pearl there. I love things stepping up in trip, probably second up or whatever off 1,100 metres, 1,100 metre races.
Yep, tend to agree there. All right, the other one is that we're going to have a quick look at is race 9. It's the Top Sport Handicap over 1,400 metres. Good to see they're spending some money in New South Wales sponsoring races, and it's Pericles' favourite here at $3.20. Colino $4.40. You called it $8.50. Banana Queen, too bad to be true last start, $8.50. Perfect Thought $9.50. Madame Pomeroy $13. Glint of Silver $15, and Mission Phoenix $17. Political Debate $21. Special Sways out the back there somewhere $26, and Capri Does Due for Rachel King and Annabelle Neesham at $26 there. We're gonna have a look at the Pericles trial just to get Nico lubed up for his weekend with the missus. And here he's just on the outside here, sort of karting widest with the white star on his head and the black cap. Did you watch this trial, Nico?
Yeah, I think everyone saw this trial. I will say off the top, these are the stayers. Like, it's not like he's trialled like an absolute jet against, the short courses. There's 1,100 metres. I think that's Arapaho leading Smoking Romans. I think Francisco Guardi's in front of him and a few others that sort of get over a trip as well. So he's probably the most dynamic horse of this lot over this sort of trip. But it was a pretty good piece of work. It's a fascinating run. I was talking about me and Trav were having a bit of a combo last night about him because he trialled so well. Just where they sort of end up with him is an intriguing runner to kick off at the end of August. Like the Wink Stakes is, I think, next week, and there's plenty of races for him, like the Lawrence, or sort of if you want to look to a fee. And so maybe he's sort of cranked up here first up, and they do go and try and sort of pinch a race with him early in the spring of sort of some group class sort of status, because he's chasing a Group 1 still. Probably worth a lot of money if he wins a Group 1, this horse. Only nosed out in the Rosehill Guinea sort of last campaigns, but as you can see there, punters, he showed an electric turn of foot there, but it's just whether he's proper cranked up here, ready to go fresh. So, I think the market will probably tell you late if he's here to play, because if he's here to play, he'll probably win. He's probably got a fair bit more talent than a few of these horses, and off that trial, he might have come back a little bit sharper, but I would have some reservation just absolutely launching in off it, given he was against the horses that are looking for 2,400. So I thought Perfect Thought actually trialled pretty well. Again, he beat the stayers, but he's a horse who's shown good talent. Probably similar sort of level to Pericles, really. Probably just a run below, but his run on the Queensland Guineas was good. Even his win back at Flemington over the spring was really good. And if Sarge has him sort of somewhere ready to go first up off the trial, you'd think he'd be running well also.
Interesting. Last time he resumed off an 800 meter trial, then a 750 trial. This time he's gone 800 and 1100. So definitely more cranked up. I thought he was as short as you like. I'm going to have to go back and have a look at, you've probably seen the trial. How did Madame Pommery trial? Because I do notice first up last time, she only got beaten 1.4 to In Secret first up at massive odds, $31. She ran an absolute bottle of fresh, and now she gets back up to a more suitable trip over 1,400, gets barrier 8, so you'll have some clear air. She just needs to find her back. I thought that $13 about Madame Pommery is, that's a huge price.
Yeah, well, she's a Group 1 winner with 1,000 guineas, so you probably got to factor that in somewhat, that she's got that level of class. I think I've seen one of her trials that was okay from memory. Waller horses are probably much harder to get a guide on at this time of year in their trials compared to Godolphin. Most of the Godolphin horses, if you're trialing bad in that camp, you probably don't have a lot of ability, whereas Team Waller, you can sort of sit out the back and do nothing and still come out and win first up. So they're not really cranked up in their trials, and they're sort of just there for a look around most of the time. But I think I saw one of her trials and it looked okay.
Yeah, I think that's the only two ways to play that one. Have you got you had a look at that race, DK, or any thoughts?
No thoughts, Scooty. I wouldn't be able to add anything there. Apologies.
You're all right, mate. I thought you just might step in for the big fella there. If you want some of Walt's insights, racingwatch.com.au is where you can find it. And so you can get Telegram or the Discord channel. And you're mad if you don't check that out. It's time now for Donny's Best.
G'day, lads. Couple of best bets for this weekend's racing. The first and probably the better bet comes up in Rose Hill in race 6, Call Die. It probably got stretched to a distance a bit further than I wanted at the back end of last preparation. Its maiden win at the Kensington was exceptional. It's trialled really, really strong against Alligator Pride. It maps nicely. Tim Clark, probably one out, one back, maybe two bears back. If there's enough speed on, I think we'll have enough sprint to come over the top of the late. I think it's about 350, 360 on TalkSport currently, so that looks a nice price. The other best bet is in Eagle Farm, race 1, Vodka Martini. It's a tough on-pace horse. It's found its form. It should find the front. La Melody, the main danger. It's come out from Tamworth. It's only really won on a country track. It's still ain't in good style, but I think Vodka Martini is the fitter horse and will be in front, so it's going to be extremely hard to run down. So the two best bets are on Saturday, Call Die, Rose Hill, race 6, and Vodka Martini, Eagle Farm, race 1. Let's go.
I think Donny's found a winner here with Rose Hill race 6, number 8, Call Die. I think it was an absolute beauty. I was super keen to hear Walt's thoughts on this with Timmy Clark on board. Looks gimme race for it if they're just going to stick to the short different distances. And the form around Shuffle Dancer and Royal Merchant laced up heels seems good enough to be picking this race off. The Eagle Farm race is an absolute beauty. La Melody is a horse I despise. Pulled up with Hard Arrhythmia at $1.50 and cost me a $40,000 multi last preparation. So I thought Walt was going to absolutely tear me apart and troll me with that one. So I've shelved myself anyway. So Vodka Martini, absolutely flying, 2 kilo claim. CJ Graham rides okay, and Andrew Mallion can get caught out the back on occasion. So I think Donny's on the mark there. And I do notice he's a bit of an Amy Shark fan. Bit of trivia for you, DK. You go to the Ed Sheeran concerts and don't mind the odd tune or two, but good bird Amy Shark. She said yes to doing Donny's wedding. Then she blew up and became this sort of megastar, and she still came good with the commitment to sing at his wedding. So she didn't brush. So Amy Shark, absolute superstar.
Saw her on she was on the Mount Einstein. It was on their Celebrity Apprentice. So
Was
you got
she?
a good insight. Yeah, she was good. She was really good on that. So actually that makes sense. She came across really well on that. Pretty genuine. So
Outstanding. All right, Top Sport Steamers, early money here. Oitar, as I said, got the chocolates last week, $7 into around $2.90 or $3. And Moonee Valley Race 2, number 4 is the first bet here. A monkey on Twin Perfection, $500 at $5.50. Nico, have you got any insight into this race?
Yeah, we actually backed Twin Perfection last night at Sandown, so I thought that race worked out really well for him. We had a crack at him, and he sort of steps up a bit, but he's absolutely in the zone. His last two, and I think they found the key to him, keeping him at 1,000 metres. He's only got to beat Hissy Fit, who had a fair bit of improvement to come first up out of the yard, I thought, so she'll probably only be improved by that run, and maybe could get back to some of her best sort of form or ratings if you sort of see that in her profile. I think she'd improve from the first up run, but he's in the zone, Twin Perfection, and we talked about last week with Philip Stokes. He's absolutely flying. So yeah, you probably want to keep finding his horses.
Beautiful. Race 10, number 4 is Magnum Bullet, $100 at $41, now slashed into $21 for Madison Lloyd.
Maybe connections or owners or something, because looked a pretty strong race for a horse like Magnum Bullet, who probably would have to bring his absolute best, and was half in reverse last up. But if it's playing like it did last week, he's a horse that gets up on top of the speed.
That's the key there.
Yeah, he's
He'd
an
want
on-pacer.
the track to be like it was the other day.
Yeah, so maybe there's someone out there hoping it plays like it does 2 weeks ago.
Flashing light run there is deep in the market there, Perry LD Lane, who has come back with a bit of a bang, and that horse was absolutely super against the pattern that day. So Moonee Valley Race 10, number 11, should be hard to beat without knowing much about Helix from the Clinton McDonald yard. Might be one for In the Know with Snow. Might have to get his insights there and see if that's a horse to be following. The next one here is Rose Hill Race 6, number 3, Sabrenko, $200 at $16. We'll have a quick squeeze here, and it's got to take on Call Die, so we'll definitely be in the Call Die corner there, but bullock for Tracy Bartley, so you'd be silly not to just have a closer look at that one at the price alone at $16. And then you've got Eagle Farm Race 5, number 3, Trevelyan. That's in Donny and Scooty territory there. And that's against Shopping Esprit, Fast Talking, Tony B, Hasbro, Wayery Falls, Nick House Spur. So I would have thought that race is completely up for grabs outside the favourite, and that horse Trevelyan's been 19 into $11. So sharp little move there. But the favourite has come out there, Ashgrove, who is a dual nominator, and I think he takes his place in race 3, so he'll be pretty hard to beat in race 3. I would have thought Ashgrove, race 3, number 4. So plenty of action there. DK, have you got anything for us? I've got needs to lift down on my notes because I think I've been burnt the last couple of times you've been tipping around the grounds.
Well, it was good. The horse buck jumped out of the gates last week. That was real good. Fair income, right? Anyway. No, I've got nothing. No, Nico's done the maidens tomorrow, so no, not out wide enough for me, Scooty. Geelong with all the good jocks and good trainers and big fields and whatnot. So Nico's already done them. I won't be tipping against him, so no, I've got nothing for you, sorry, this week.
All right, just sabotage half the show, and you're going to leave us with donuts. Your homework's to try and break bread with Walty, and hopefully we can get the show back to it's 4 panel members plus Azza's horse in Geelong. Nico, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I thought it went up a big price as his horse. I was surprised it wasn't shorter. I think it went up like 380 or something. So it was a good winner the other day, and it didn't look like it was striking the deepest race. So I'll be interested to see the way the market sort of handles him there. A good program from Geelong, Bendigo today, and then obviously the Valley Saturday. But 2 meetings, 2 good tracks to bet on the next 2 days, and then into the Valley. So at least we've got something there if the Valley doesn't play the way punters hopefully like. But Bendigo today should be a good card, and then hopefully we found a few winners at Geelong for the punters. And I think Rose Hill's probably where the action's going to be this weekend, as we touched on a few of those races. But seeing a few of those names back in the form guided definitely gets you excited for the spring, that's for sure.
Yeah, Geelong Race 7, number 2, Struck Gold, is Az's horse, and you have to be absolutely horned up deluxe to go down to Geelong to watch racing. DK, I think there's some old footage of you pulling off a sting there back in the day out there on the Twitter sphere or on YouTube. You and Croft had that horse, so it's definitely a place to bet up and absolutely launch.
That was funny. We didn't tip Struck Gold because it was up against a horse called Poison Chalice, and then I went and tipped some other dingo. Anyway, Poison Chalice got scratched. Struck Gold wins by 6. Poison Chalice goes, when was it, the Sunday? Was it Nico or the Friday or the Sunday?
Yeah, Geelong.
Went on the Sunday to Geelong and got held up from the 500 to the 150 and still showed it like a turn of foot, like a group horse to win. So it's funny how things pan out. That's the problems you've got to deal with the early markets. But they could be two top horses on the ride on the way up, particularly that Poison Chalice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely one to follow there with the Tijuana and the Stutt Fulham through there. So big win there. And yeah, I think maybe my gripe for next week is trainers scratching horses off wide barriers. It's my absolute pain point at the moment. And it's at the moment there's so many races around for trainers. They're sort of laughing and giggling about it. And there's like six scratchings in one race. And so if you even draw them wide, by the time everyone else gets the shits with drawing wide, you actually got a good barrier. It's just been happening. A lot of black bookers that I'm finding at the moment, they just keep scratching because they've got a wide barrier, and then they're going to a harder race and they've still got a wide barrier. So I tell you what,
No, that's been endemic, mate. It's endemic.
Oh.
It's a disease, the scratching disease. It's there's no cure for it.
they're just absolutely
Unreal.
imbeciles sometimes, trainers.
Because
but
they can dual accept and everything, you know. Anyway, here's what it is.
it's crazy. All right. Hopefully we found you a couple of winners, and we'll see you next week, and we'll be bright, bubbly, and we'll be back as a united team. See you guys.